customers. And I never agreed with it. Because for me, a customer is somebody who has a choice. I can come to your shop or I can go to another shop. But if I want a passport, there's only the passport office in the UK that can give me the passport. If I want a driving license, it's on the DVLA. So you're not a customer because there's no choice involved. But if it was a private entity, of course I can go somewhere else and get another passport. But that doesn't exist. You're a monopoly, and so you can do what you want. And so some of those institutions, that's why they behave the way they behave.
It's difficult. It's very difficult, I mean, to manage government institutions in this country. And I think those institutions should have been more effective. People should have taken good care of them. I remember I read about a particular article that, I mean, there is a country that all their private schools are shutting down and going to the government schools because how good looking they are, how good the education is. So I think those are the things that we should emulate as a country.
I can name one country, Sierra Leone, if you want. That's what's happened. A lot of government schools are being taken over by people like me who are alumni of those schools. We've taken over at least 2 of the schools that I attended have now been taken over by the alma mater, by the alumni, and we run it instead of the government, and they're much better than when they were under government control. So that can happen.
So anyway, I've brought up a discussion on public and private sector here.
Somehow.
I don't know if it's like applicable, but like you mentioned, some of these proverbs.
Yes, Jay, this is what they do. It's a matter of, I mean, discussing the proverb, but the proverb leads you to different directions.
It
stimulates thought and it provokes you to actually use your brain and think, I wonder what they meant by this, or wonder what what the original context of this is.
It's my favorite part for me of the program.
It's like you have proverbs about equality just very quickly. It says the rain that falls on everybody.
It
doesn't say, I'm not going to fall on the king because he's the king. I'm only going to fall on the beggar. No, it falls on everybody.
On everybody.
So, right. So moving on, we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to the newspaper review. Do stay tuned.
Nganoro tarale, birin dunia bedatila. Ada ben na baluo konole, nzulata norol, pour kanna doku wolke, kanna bungol lo, kanna fengol fi. Hanim fanan kanna kanunyol je noro ka kuol sone yande woto kiusel ya kiu pawa sanya kutole nati isela kas pawa sotono katabake anin nyin kiusel la nyin kot kuto ila dunia malandi anin nyin star 363 has katabake hanna tara ibela suwokono ila ofisoko anin dulalo Star 363 has command sign. Q power. Ki la dunia malamalandi. Q cell. Sunyu boss. Ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. So now we head right on to the newspaper review. That's the yes. I think we have the point here to review for the newspaper today. We have VP Works Minister appear before lawmakers, and also we have notorious wife beater reforms after training, and also teachers end strike after settlement, and also GID collects over 100 million revenue in 2021. So I'm afraid this
impressive.
is
sports news. Any sports news?
Any sports news?
I'm always saying, what about the sports?
Sports news today. We have Hawks share spoils with Steve Biko in first division here, and also Gina Bass finishes fourth in European Indoor Championship. And also Queen Scorpions arrive in Cameroon ahead of the AFCON qualifiers. Tough one, right? So what's your prediction with that?
I saw Cameroon in the last Women's World Cup, and they've got a very strong team. If we get any kind of result like a draw or a win, it will be one of the biggest shocks in African women's football ever. They've got a very good team. obviously they be inspired by the Scorpions at AFCON getting as far as the quarterfinals. But honestly, if they get anything out of that game, it'll be a shock, a surprise, a delightful surprise. But I'm not hopeful.
You're not hopeful?
I think that the disparity between the two teams in terms of ability is huge.
Okay.
Actually.
Well, for me now, football, I don't predict. I mean, when you never know what will happen.
You never know.
Yes, because Gambia proved us all wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, when they went to the AFCON, because I was not even thinking that Gambia will move from beating Mauritania to the other level, talk less of reaching the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
you know, so football, you never know.
You never know.
And you know, I mean, you never know. Sadio Mane lost a penalty. Can you remember?
Ended up scoring the winning.
Can you imagine?
So it's just so unpredictable.
You never, you can
that
never
is why
predict.
I don't have the nerves to like watch it.
You can support.
Yeah.
You can do everything.
So, I mean, for this one, I'm going purely on form and ability of what I know, because I watched all of the last Women's World Cup, and Cameroon, I think, in fact, one of the players scored the goal that was either first or second in goal of the tournament.
Right.
Fantastic goal. So, yeah.
Well, I've also seen something yesterday. I mean, the Ghana Parliament called on the coach, on the captain of the Ghanaian team to ask him why didn't the Ghana team perform as expected.
Why did they underperform so spectacularly?
Yeah.
They came last.
Yeah.
So they called him. I was surprised to know, I mean, the Parliament can summon captains to come and talk about. I was even thinking the Parliament can only summon ministers.
No, they can, but you know, the captain doesn't have to go. He went as a courtesy. He didn't want to be discourteous, because he knows how much football means to Ghanaians. And you know, Ghana, in terms of winning tournaments and so, they've slipped very, very badly. And this is a football-loving nation, as most African countries are. Let's be honest. And so, as a courtesy, of course, he went. But they don't.
I will not be
it's
surprised.
Not like they have the specific power.
Yeah,
I will not be surprised. The parliamentarians in Ghana will be like, even Gambia. I know they must mention Gambia.
Yes, we are all over the place.
Of course, and that's an inspiring thing. And I said, I think that will inspire the female Scorpions.
Yeah.
The fact that the men have done so well against all odds.
Against all odds.
So yeah, we're pleased. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gina Bass here finishes fourth in European Indoor Championship as well.
It's not bad. I mean, it's the start of the athletics season, and so people are kind of slowly getting into their stride.
Yeah.
She normally does quite well indoors and outdoors.
Yeah.
So that's it's a good start, but she'll be looking at how close, because I think the first, second, third, and fourth are all quite close. So I think she won't be despairing and thinking, oh, these people are way ahead of me. She's there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So she'll be quite pleased that after some more training and fine-tuning, I'll start beating these people, and I have no doubt that she will.
Yeah, and she's preparing for the Commonwealth Games amongst other competitions.
That's right.
Well, for Gina Bass, my own case, Gina is a very good athlete, and I think she needs more confidence.
You think so?
Yes. I from my own point of view, I think she needs more confidence.
You mean self-confidence?
Self-confidence.
I mean, somebody who is African 200-meter champion.
Well,
what more confidence do you need?
Well, I know. I mean, because we've watched her perform in the Olympics. You understand? I think she can do better than that.
But come on.
But was it based on confidence?
But that was, listen, in the Olympics.
There is no doubt about it.
In the Olympics,
the
women who finished ahead of her, they ran some of the fastest times ever run by women.
I wanted her to beat those women.
Yeah, but my question is, why do you think the reason why she couldn't beat those people was because of lack of confidence?
I can say a bit lack of confidence and motivation.
Okay.
Yes, motivation.
Look, some people are just faster than others. When Usain Bolt was at his best, nobody can beat him.
Yeah.
Similarly, the Jamaicans, the Americans who won those races that she was in, nobody's beaten some of them in 5-6 years. Why do you think Gina Bass can beat them?
You know, one thing I believe too, she is doing well. I mean, but that doesn't mean we are satisfied with what she is doing.
Neither is she.
At least we need to see certain things and tell her, you need to do this. Because we all have our different perspective, the way we see things. So that's what I've seen.
But that's like saying Gambia go to AFCON, we should have won it.
Yeah.
There are teams that are better than us. There are people who have run way faster than her.
And there's nothing.
Why can't she beat them? You know, they've run much faster times.
You want
she's representing me.
Well, let's talk about also people who are naturally gifted, like people like Usain Bolt.
Well, you say that, but if you go on YouTube, for example, and you look at the Jamaican schools championships when Usain Bolt was winning when he was 17, there's like 30,000 people watching that, and you see the infrastructure for sports in Jamaica. Jamaica for the last 40 years has been producing world class. It's not about natural gift. It's about infrastructure. Look at what we broadcast, the sports thing that our colleague Gajaga did. Here, they're still running on dirt tracks. The people doing the high jump are landing on mattresses.
I saw it.
Ludicrous. And we want to compete with the world best. It will never
that's
get
what
there.
I said.
So it has nothing sometimes to do with
motivation. That's infrastructure.
Yes,
so
infrastructure. It's very important.
So you feel like it has nothing to do with talent or just being gifted?
No, the thing is, we have the talent here, just as we've proven in football. We have the talent in athletics. But if people are running on dirt tracks when others are running on, you know, go fast tracks, we're not going to be able to compete. I did a couple of podcasts with the Center for International Studies and American Center, and they said, if you could ask for one thing from America or Britain, what would it be? And I said, let them come and build athletic stadia for us. Let them come and build running tracks for us so that our athletes can run on proper tracks and get used to it. Children were starting in the school sports that we broadcast the other week, last week rather. They weren't even using starting blocks, and they were running on a dirt track. Come on, you're not going to be able to compete. Some of them didn't even have spikes, you know, to run with. So, you know, all of that. And for me, big companies should invest. It's not about government.
That's
you know, about
infrastructure.
Coming in,
it's important.
It's about infrastructure.
Yesterday, the Minister of Sports was here, and
I would have taken him to task.
We asked about infrastructure. He said they are coming gradually. I think there are few mini stadiums that they are working on.
There are about 10.
They are working on. I think even Kiang will be having
They're
one.
trying to decentralize.
And we need that. Because you look at what Mauritania did with its FIFA money in terms of building stadia. They built world-class stadia with FIFA money. Why aren't we doing the same here? What's stopping us? The money's there. Over 10 million waiting for us to just use it.
He said building
dollars, by the way.
Building a stadium can cost you.
No, he's but still
can cost you a whole lot of money.
But if it's a football stadium, you can use the FIFA money for it. Why don't we use the FIFA money? It's been sitting there since 2016, and we have not taken it. We've taken a fraction of what is there. There's 9.8 or nearly 10 million still waiting there, unused by us. It is free money. We don't have to pay it back.
And the reason why we can't tap into it is because they expect you to progress with the money that you've taken before, and we're not there yet. And
not only that, they monitor it. I mean, Mauritania is not there yet. Cape Verde has taken all of its money. Morocco, Egypt, they've taken all the money they're entitled to. $11.6 million for every single African country. It's sitting there. Let's
take a look at the renovation of the stadium. The minister said it's costly, I mean, to renovate a stadium. But, I mean, sometimes when they renovate the stadium, on several occasions they'll tell you the stadium is being renovated. But if you look at it, you cannot see anything.
I'll step in there. If you want to renovate a stadium, I don't know who the stadium belongs to. If it belongs to the government, then GFF cannot use FIFA money to renovate it.
He talked about that.
Right, okay, because I didn't see that yet. So it depends to whom the stadium belongs. But trust me, with $11.6 million, you could take 2.5 million and build another stadium, you know, and build another stadium. You know, why do we have to rely on the Independence Stadium? Build another one.
That's mainly for football.
You know, for one that is up. There have been times when they've cancelled games there because it's been ruled that the pitch is not fit.
And currently it's even locked up because they have to, you know, prepare for the game between the Gambia and Chad. But anyway, enough of sports.
Indeed, too much of sports.
Yes, here we have notorious wife beater, reforms after training. I wonder what
I went straight into that story and I thought I'm intrigued by this because sad to say there are lots of men I've become aware since I came to the Gambia who are wife beaters, and it's a problem here. And you know, he went through training and he's giving all these lovely words now about how he's a reformed character, how he now helps his wife around the house. He even says now there's peace and harmony in our house. I'm really, really intrigued as to what this training involved to make such a turnaround, because it doesn't just say it doesn't just say no. I was just going to say it's just not just any.
They are motivated.
Notorious wife beater.
Maybe there is motivation.
But yes, but what's the motivation that
but
makes
I don't
somebody
think
change?
I don't think a husband have to go through a training to stop beating your wife. I mean, you should not beat your wife at the first place.
But how do you stop somebody who does? That's the thing, and get them to reform, because they're saying that this person is a reformed character.
I think.
And he says, my wife's been gone to the market for 3 hours and I'm missing her already. That shows you now that there's peace and harmony between us.
Well,
I don't know whether that's
we don't know if that's genuine. Because obviously, because he's a notorious wife beater, if it is about going to jail or changing, he can choose to put some of his attitude under the carpet for a while.
Because sometimes what they do in some countries is they get people to go through anger management training. And you can actually reform somebody who's been, they're sort of always angry or always losing their temper. Because there are psychological reasons why that happens. It's not genetic or whatever. And so you can get people to change. And so it can happen, but as I said...
At least if we know the process.
If you know the process, it's intriguing.
So teachers end strike after settlement.
Hooray! No, I'm really pleased because, for me, education is the most important thing in any country, way beyond anything else you can. If you have an educated country and an educated population, everything else then follows on. So when I hear about teachers not going to school, withdrawing their labor, and what was even more sad for me was that the reason they were striking wasn't because something affected all teachers. It was because it affected some of them. So for me that was a bit disturbing. And I remember Mr. Mboj on Drive Time taking to task one of the teachers union executive members and saying, you didn't even have a democratic vote before you took this action, and look at the impact. So for me it's a welcome sign that after talks they've gone back and they've been given certain promises. Let's hope that they stick to those promises.
The thing is, for the education sector, I don't think we need any of these, considering the harm that the pandemic, has made.
Has already huge impact.
On the education sector. I think having strikes and such.
And what's ironic is because they're complaining about not getting paid COVID
money.
And if you look at it, I mean, sometimes it's a bit difficult. I mean, to send your kids to government schools because there are a whole lot of sit-down strikes at times at government schools. So
I don't know about a whole lot. I think we get carried away. If there are 2 or 3 a year, we say it's a lot, but that's not a lot. If you consider how many days there are or how many hours there are in terms of contact hours, 2 or 3 days of striking is not a lot. But it always seems a lot because we don't like it. As parents, you have to then start worrying. Okay, I'm going to work. If the teachers are striking, who's going to be looking after my children at home? I'm going to be leaving them unsupervised, because at least when they go to school, you know where they are for a certain number of hours. And now they're at home unsupervised. And so that it's not just about them striking, but the impact it has on everybody else, on the children and on the parents as well.
So I'm afraid that is all we have here. VP Walks Minister appear before lawmakers. I think it is important that the Minister for Justice was actually addressed when it comes to the fact that he wasn't there and he apologized. That will at least give some sort of respect or authority to our parliament, because frequently we see ministers not appearing and all of that.
You say that, but even though they thanked him for his apology, they made a recommendation that they should investigate whether he should be leveled with a charge of contempt. So it's not over yet.
It's not, right?
It's not over yet. But theoretically it is, and we hope they accept the apology.
I hope. I just want them to use it as an example, and then after that, ministers will know if you do not turn up, there's a penalty.
And I think that's why they recommended that they should investigate whether he should be held in contempt of Parliament. And if he is, then he will be hit with a contempt charge. I don't know what that then means practically, but does he come and make yet another apology? Does he go and stand in the corner, or does he write 100 lines? I I must not disrespect the Parliament.
Or come on QTV.
Yes, come on QTV and come on Q Radio and apologize to the nation.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one.
It is. Thank you so much for joining us on the
Pleasure,
newspaper review.
as
It's
always
good to have you here. So on Community Watch, we're taking a look at UTG Convocation Ceremony 2022, and we'll be joined by staff from the University of the Gambia to help us discuss this. We'll be right back.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522-222, 353-2222.
Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using Quick Pay on the Q Money platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with Q Money by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. Q Money, suñu kalpe.
danga bëgg a jot sa xaalis si num gën a gaawee te yobba léegi ak Ria mun ngaa jot sa xaalis bàyyeekoo sa bitim réew si sa Q Money te doo si fay dara boo jotee ab xibaar si sa téléphone bi ne jot nga koppar bu bàyyeekoo sa bitim réew mun ngaa dem seet Q Money agent bu la gën a jege jot sa xaalis te doo si fay dara bu la neexee mun nga koo jëndee crédit Q Power wala jëfandikoo ak yeneen Q Money service yi gaaw na wóor na te noppale na pour am si lu la wóor woo ñu si 133 Q Money suñu kalpe lii dafa ànd ak sarta.
Hello, can you test your mic? Mic test 1. Mu ngi ñëw ah? You don't need to hold it. It's okay. Mu ngi ñëw.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider.
That short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and now we'll be discussing the UTG Convocation Ceremony 2022, and we're joined by staff from the University of the Gambia. We have Mr. Aliu Dabo, Director of Facilities and Auxiliary Services, as well as Mr. Lamin Drame, Head of Department for Management Sciences. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning as well.
Good morning. So we start with Mr. Dabo. Take us through some of the preparations already underway ahead of the day. I know the day has been changed. At first, it was announced that it was the 26th, and eventually it's now the 5th of March. So hopefully we will not see another changes.
Oh, no. Okay. Good morning, and thanks for having us on the platform today. The date, March 5th, is confirmed. Invitations are printed. The Chancellor of the University, who happens to be the President of the country, is also notified. Okay. Guests, invitees from abroad are coming. So now that date of 26th is set aside for the convocation lecture. Right. And a prominent Gambian scholar based in the US is invited to come here and deliver the convocation lecture. So yeah, the date is confirmed, and some of the preparations we are doing is as routine, getting ushers ready, getting gowns of the graduates ready and faculty and all that stuff, getting the choir ready, getting the rehearsals taken care of, and then getting familiarized once again, because some of the committees have changed with Q City. That's the venue thanks to the generosity of Mohammed Jah and so on. So we're having the convocation ceremony there again this year. So everything is on course for the 5th of March.
Okay, what is your preparation? I mean, your manner of doing the convocation so that it can be different from previous years. I mean, convocations are very important days.
Yes. Can you specify when you say manner? How do you mean?
The way it is done. We want it to be different from last year or year before last. Yes. For it to be unique, at least every year, there should be something different about it.
Yeah, so you want to respond to that?
No, exactly. In preparation, as you prepare for an event, every time you learn something new that you miss and you're able to rectify. And that's why we have the different committees which have been scheduled, looking at the venue, others looking at other publicities and others, printing of the papers and others. We also do change, the convocation lecture he has already talked about. And we brought up a new area or, for discussion, for example, the role of Gambian youths in shaping the future of of the Gambia, which is the topic that has been given. And it's the Gambian again, who is coming to deliver that convocation lecture. That is Dr. Aminata Silla from Towson University in USA.
So why do you think that topic is important? Why the need for that? You could have chose different topics, but went ahead with that one. Why the need?
Yeah, looking at the Gambia, looking at the national development goals, they're looking at all what activities that are going around. It will be difficult to go without the youths. These are the future leaders. So the topic is all about preparing them for that leadership, and that leadership determines, how well we will be able to organize ourselves, and people understanding their roles and what their responsibilities are. So it is important to develop our young ones and give them the foresight to be able to not only to be in the position for themselves, but for all others, and also organizing it well so that at least it's going to be a development aspiration for the country. So that's why we feel the youths can never be left behind. So it is important coming out with something. And moreover, the graduates are all youths, so they are the ones, it's their day. So it is important to come out with something or somebody who will talk to them about what we expect from them in the future.
Exactly, very important. A lot is expected from you as those responsible for this event. But what do you expect from the graduating students?
We expect them to be on time with their invitees, family and friends and so on. We expect them to be compliant with COVID-19 dress code, wearing a mask, and be willing to sanitize their hands before they get into the grounds. And we expect them also to exercise decorum so that graduations are solemn occasions. Right. So you're being ushered out of the university into the wall of work and so on. So it's a solemn thing. That's why there is always a procession of faculty and all that stuff. So it's very important that when students come and they're guests, they of course dress to the occasion and then be well comported and making sure that their day is colorful but it's also memorable. Yeah.
So I've been part of panel discussions for so long on graduation ceremonies. I think for the past 2 to 3 years with some of my colleagues, Adedirami, Momodou Mbouch, and the rest. So most of the time, what we get to discuss is the fact that most of the graduates are either doing law or either doing political science or development studies, but we do not see a lot of engineers coming up, a lot of all of these rare fields. So are we going to see that this summer or nothing changed? I just want to know if something has changed when it comes to that from the last convocation.
Just 1 second. Some things have changed,
okay.
But university is still growing when it comes to the core engineering areas.
Okay.
But our computer science has grown.
Okay.
Now this year they've launched a master's program in computing and telecommunications and
right.
so on. And yes, that's the STEM areas as they are known. It's university is growing into it because of infrastructure. So we're hoping that once our campus at Faraba is done, which is almost 80 to 90% complete, the
right.
first phase of it, the engineering faculties could have space and resources to morph into that, so hopefully in the next few years we'll be graduating more engineers.
Okay.
But as it were, right now,
it's
probably,
where it is.
Yeah, it's just there is one cohort of engineering and it's a small school, about 50 or less of them. So at any given time, about 10 or so are graduating. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it for that one, yeah.
All right. So also I want to ask, we know on the graduation day, students are not giving certificates. Is that going to change anytime soon? You know, are we going to have something like that? Because I know outside of the Gambia, on the day you get to receive the certificate, at least to have something to show to your parents. But that's not the case in Gambia. Why, and can that change in the future? Is it changing this convocation?
No, it will not be changing this convocation.
Okay.
It will remain the same, bearing in mind that we are also in the COVID.
Okay.
And that has not gone away.
Okay.
So we're limiting that exposure. Receiving the certificates means
right,
people exposed
right.
to the president,
okay.
receiving certificates, handshake, and taking pictures. So we want to avoid that and continue to say so until when such environments are available. I think it is proper maintaining. I think for this time, the little changes there will be those that are receiving the masters and the PhD.
Okay.
The numbers are reasonable.
Okay.
We will be able to allow those people receiving, or giving, shaking hands with the president. Okay. And all other certificates, they can receive them later. So because of COVID, we will still maintain the same.
We will still maintain the same thing. So how is the masters and the PhD going at the University of the Gambia? Because it's still amazing to people that, the only university that we have is growing to that extent.
Yeah. So university right now has almost 22 different degree programs. So it has grown immensely. If some of you who may have been around when the university extension program, which I am a product of, we used to be very few, and now university student roll is almost a little over 6,000 and about 900 graduate each year. So it's amazing, and the graduate programs, or here they call it the postgraduate programs, are growing steadily also. So this year we're having educational leadership programs coming in at the master's level, and we have something on procurement, because these are all important. They're small businesses growing, and people are buying and selling to public institutions, and so they need to be trained also in those areas. So I think the steady growth of the university is it's something to be proud of for all of us.
Yeah, but also let's take a look at some of the challenges.
Yeah.
On convocation days, I think it is important that we also reflect
yes.
on our very own university when it comes to things that we do not have and that we have. I recently saw the Students' Union demanding some of the things that they told President Adama Barrow unmet once, they called it. So how far with that as well? I think these are times when on convocation, on ceremonies as such, we take a look at what to change, what to adjust, for a better UTG.
Absolutely. So that question basically is because of my role as Director of Facilities. University has a lot of challenges. I've been on the job now 1 year. I moved back here from the States last December. So regarding the concerns of the students as well as faculty, because remember at the same time that the faculty was on their strike, that was the same time the students made those pronouncements.
Right.
So a lot of things, are coming up, including a lot of their concerns have been addressed The ones that could immediately be addressed have been addressed. But the work is continuing, and then just this January we have a new vice chancellor who also is, working very fast, very quickly to address issues of furniture, accommodation issues like classroom space, and even basic things like toilets and things like that. So there's a lot of work that is going on. My department is working hard with support from the Vice Chancellor's office, and then hopefully before too long those will not be topical issues anymore.
Yes, looking forward to that, Ibrahima.
I want us to clarify something. Yes. It might be something very simple, but you people might not know, people are not noticing this thing. That is the difference between convocation and graduation. Are they the same?
They are. We want to sound professorial. No, that's a joke. But yeah, so these are, it's like saying someone has died, someone has kicked the bucket.
Yeah.
Okay. So convocation, by its name, just the basic meaning is people are converging. It's a convocation. Okay. But it's also a technical term because you are getting conferment of degrees, you are getting all these things. So it's a more broader term than graduation, because graduation, high school can say graduation and all this stuff. So this it's a meeting point of academics and scholars, where people with the relevant authorities are conferring degrees and titles and so on. Because usually the first thing that happens is to bring the chancellor to preside over, and then so it's a solemn thing. That's why it's called that way. It's more like when the church service comes, church convocation. Yeah, so something like that.
Yeah,
they have their roots in Latin.
Exactly. Yeah.
They have nothing to do with our present generation.
Let the ceremony happen. For me, I'm not a fan of all these terms. Let the ceremony happen.
They say you graduated with distinction. At the university, they'll say it graduated summa cum laude.
Exactly.
So summa cum laude means greatest distinction.
Okay.
Then magna is great distinction.
Where are those words from?
Latin.
Latin, yes. So the Latin language.
I was about to tease him to say, don't ask me what I'm graduating with. Please don't ask me.
Maybe it's better you tell us.
I'm not going to go there.
Ask you anyway.
If I judge by the tenor of her questioning, it will be summa cum laude.
Okay, all right, no problem. I'll take it.
Ibrahim, note that down and listen to it.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. But just finally, any message on the day?
Yeah, just to add on a little that we appealing to all graduates and their families, to respect time.
Right.
Because we always have that difficulties. People coming when the ceremony is already starting. It's very difficult for the ushers to be able to do their job.
Right.
So let people go in early and be there before the time and before the president will arrive. Additional to that, we also inviting other institutions, from other countries that are coming. Senegal, you have the Gaston Berger University, say Ante Job and the like. Forabe College from Sierra Leone, Turkey, the Gaston University, and also from Nigeria, the OAU and the IFE universities are all universities that are invited. We don't know the number that is coming. We've already got confirmation.
I know sometimes graduates do not value the convocation lecture. Sometimes they do not turn up. But for me, I think it's one of the most important aspects of the whole graduation process on the 26th of March. And the venue is?
The Sada da Kairaba.
At the Sada da Kairaba Conference Center for that particular lecture. Looking forward to a successful graduation. I will not be on a panel this year. I'll be graduating. So I will not be on a panel discussion. So you'll be interviewing me instead, right?
So
that's already very good.
TV should get a bouquet of flowers ready for...
Definitely.
Exactly. Get my gift ready. Get my gift ready. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. We will go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be taking a look at Gambia at 57, and we'll be taking a look at the theme for this year, which has to do with economic independence. How can we attain economic independence as a country? Where do we want to see ourselves? What can we contribute as citizens?
Yeah, it's not only celebrating independence,
it's about reflecting.
But how far have we gone?
Yeah, and what can we add to ensure we have that economic independence? How feasible is it?
Absolutely.
So we'll be joined by Sanjay, political science lecturer at the University of the Gambia, as well as Malik Jallo, an economist. We'll be right back.
Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522 222 353 2222.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using QuickPay on the QMoney platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with QMoney by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. QMoney, Sunyu Kalpe.
nga noro tarale birin dunia be datila ada ben na baluwo konole nsulata noro pour kanna do kuwolke kanna bungol lo kanna fengol fi hanim fanan kanna kanunyol je noro ka kuwol sone yande woto QCell ya Q power sanya kutole nati isela kas power sotono katabake anin ñing QCell la ñing koot kuto ila dunia malandi.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And on social issues today, this is a continuation from yesterday. Auntie Amibojang Seesaw yesterday sparked a conversation in relation to the theme for this year's 57th independence anniversary of the Gambia, which has to do with economic independence. So it is important that, you know, we bring people who have different mindsets just to find out what economic independence means to them as Gambians, you know, putting aside what political party. Obviously, the people that we have here are non-partisan, I believe. Obviously, everyone is belonging, but non-partisan in a way of saying it out loud to the public. I'm 100% sure of that. So it doesn't have to do with being part of NPP or being part of UDP or anything, but it's about where you want to see your country. But the reality is that as well, these political parties do matter because they're the ones in power, but we are just trying by all means to put that aside. But thank you so much for joining us, Esa Njai, political science lecturer at the University of the Gambia. Malik, this is not your first time, so I will not give you the welcoming, the proper welcoming. But this is not the first time for Mr. Njai either, but it has been a while. So, gentlemen, let's talk about what economic independence means to you before we get into, you know, the technicalities surrounding it. You know, Mr. Njai, what does it mean to you when somebody says your country is working towards economic independence? What does that tell you?
Thank you very much for having me. I think the question is important, but I will speak here not as an economist because I'm not one, but I will speak from the political science perspective. Yeah. And of course, I will, you know, to answer this question, I would like to put it into context, looking at going by memory lane, history, to look at the independence of, you know, most African countries. When Ghana gained independence in 1957, it was Nkrumah's belief that the most important thing to gain at the time was political independence. And that is why he said that seek ye first the political kingdom, and then all others will be added unto you. Economic independence will come with political independence. Right. We know this was in 1957, and then 1958, Guinea opted for independence. When Sékou Touré's Guinea wanted independence, the French said that they were not ready, to grant independence to their colonies in Africa. And Sékou Touré, Guinea decided to go for another referendum in September 1958, and Guineans voted massively for independence. And France decided to stop giving, financial support to Guinea, because it was the condition that any country that was going for independence will not receive financial support from France. And Guinea decided to still go ahead with it, and that is how Sékou Touré opened Guinea for any country that was interested to come in, and that is how the Soviets showed interest in building relations or ties with Guinea. This was not the end of our struggle. Gambia, when we gained independence in 1965, there were a lot of doubts. People said that the Gambia could not survive as an independent country. In fact, Barclay Rice wrote his book, Enter the Gambia, The Birth of an Improbable Nation, where he said the Gambia is not a viable state, cannot survive, not politically but economically, cannot survive as a country. And that is how we defied odds, by surviving as a country from 1965 down to 1994, even though the military coup in 94 was regrettable. It was a bad episode in our governance or democratic process. But many people also said that the junta at the time will not be able to survive, will not be able to even pay salaries for the few months coming. But the Gambia was able to defy odds by surviving. Down in 2016, a lot of people also thought that Gambians cannot defeat a dictator, and we were able to use the ballot box to defeat a dictator. So it shows that we have been defying odds. But then still to the economic aspect of it, looking at the 1970s, 80s, there was this program called the Structural Adjustment Program and the Economic Recovery Programs. And these were implemented specifically in African countries to see, as some critics will say, by Western financial donors, to see how these African countries can pay their debt to them. But it also came with conditions. These, SARBs and ERP came with conditions of liberalizing your economy, how do you call it, retrenchment of, people in the public service. We also had
LGBT.
Exactly, which also had, consequences in our political stability in the country at the time. This was in the 80s, around that time. So even devaluing our currency was one condition of structural adjustment program at the time. So it shows us that from 1965, 1960, let's start from majority of African countries, of course, including French colonies, gained their independence, 1960, coming up to the period of 1966 up to 1917. It showed that we realized that there were economic challenges on the continent. In fact, one of the reasons for the military coup in 1966 in Ghana was rising price in cocoa prices. Okay, so Gambia was not an exception to this. From 1965 up to now, we had this economic challenge, and up to date, when we say economic independence, I tend to ask myself, what type of economic independence are we looking at? Because we have a continent and we have a country that still relies on handouts, that still relies on grants, that still rely on loans to survive. If you look at our budget, I think consistently we have been on bailout. We have been receiving budget support from financial donors. But this is not the only thing. Also, if you look at the issue of our, remittances coming to the country.
Exactly, with remittances, we've seen how...
last year, 2021, we received 62% of the GDP came from remittances.
From remittances.
So that shows that there's less productivity in the country.
Exactly, and that is why we are talking about the fact that these remittances should be channeled in a very structured way, and the Foreign Ministry, we've seen, is doing something like that. So, Malik, yesterday when Auntie Ami was here, she's banking on agriculture. Do you think that's a good thing for economic independence? She's trying to bank on agriculture in this country for us to be economically independent. So do you think that is a good one?
Well, thank you for having me here again once more, and thanks to Mr. Cicerai,
Mr. Njai,
for taking us through that history. It refreshes my memory a bit. There's so much of history that I've forgotten. But yes, I would agree that agriculture could be one of the ways that we could gain. I would not say economic independence. If you understand economics very well in the globalized world, there is no country that would be 100% as the literal meaning of independence. What we're going to have is interdependence, or less reliant less reliant in the sense that what happens outside does not affect you domestically so much that it hurts the living standards of the people. But there is always something that you will need from the outside world. That is why that is the current globalization, we have. If you look at countries that are isolated, Iran, North Korea, the people are really suffering, and you cannot isolate. Yeah, I do agree that agriculture could be one of the key tools that we redirect the trajectory. But redirecting, doing that, it just not has to stop at words. We need to ensure a continuous agricultural cycle, because we know agriculture, the key drivers of the economy is agriculture, services. So agriculture is exposed to climate issues. Sometimes when we expect rain, it doesn't come. Sometimes when we don't expect it, it comes. Crisis, farmers, So we have the River Gambia. I don't think Gambia is difficult to develop. We may have challenges, but we have the potential. The river goes through.
But economically, using your experience and what you've studied and all of that, I just want to know how feasible it can be. What can be done, in your own perspective? First
of all, we need to start heavy mechanization and industrialization and commercialization of agriculture. What are we good? What does the river? What are the potentials that the river present to us? What can we produce at what quantity? That production, what can we process? If we are not processing, what capacities can we put in place to process it into final goods? How do we make sure that most of the consumption that we're doing as individuals or as a country is locally produced? And this requires huge financing. So which means priorities has to be given from the budget allocation. 2022 budget allocation, an article that I wrote, published by Academia, looks at does budget 2022 as it is themed by the Ministry of Finance, that it is capacity, help build capacity. I don't think it was meant to build capacity. Because if you look at the different aspects of the allocations of the budget, agriculture is not taking a huge chunk of that. And most of the allocations to different departments is 90%, 80 to 90% of those allocations is recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure means paying salaries, buying office stationery, fuel for the car, just operational expenses. So if you have a huge chunk of your budget consumed by operational expenses, what are you allocating for capital development?
That's a problem. I want to connect to that. At the end of the time, all these things we're talking about here leads to action. Attitude of the people, those that are supposed to implement and those that are supposed to monitor these things. Those that are supposed to monitor are the government and the people, but those that are supposed to implement these things are the people. In Gambia, there are certain things that we cannot even make for ourselves. We don't process certain things in this country, and all the things that we have, they are imported in this country. So even though we talk about this thing, but people should get up and change attitudes to start doing the job.
And that is why I'm interested to know, Mr. Njai, do you think agriculture should be the starting point to ensure that narrative that we're looking forward to?
Certainly, just like he said, you see, the mechanization, but more importantly, the industrialization and commercialization of agriculture is essential here. I can't point out any country today from the 1960s up to now that has developed without investing so much in agriculture and industrialization. Countries like Brazil, if you look at their trajectory, coming from that poverty line, moving forward to where they are, to manufacture, a lot of gadgets today, it's because they heavily invested in industrialization. Like I said, I'm not an economist. I wouldn't go deep into that. But I think some of these things are so basic that they can be done. It's just, like you said, the people that are there, the commitment must be there. If you look at our challenges as a country, from 2017 to now, what we've been having, the greatest challenge to this country has been corruption. This has been, I wouldn't want to say institutionalized, but it has been decentralized. Okay.
Decentralized.
Yeah. The difference, okay. I always say the difference between Yahya Jammeh era and Barrow's era in terms of corruption is that during Jammeh's time it was centralized. Yahya Jammeh was the one taking, and if you take, he will come after you.
Okay.
But for Barrow, it's not Barrow himself alone taking. It's like it's everywhere.
And I agree.
We just had $11 million
totally
at Central Bank saga. That's a saga that was out just yesterday. Okay. Corruption scandals. Every day, one corruption scandal upon another corruption scandal. And it seems like there are not much efforts to do. So the issue of economic independence, in order to address it, for me, as far as this government is concerned, is number one to fight against corruption. Okay. If you look at the Gambia, it's ranked, I think, 104th. Out of 104 out of 180 countries that have been, gauged by the, I think, Transparency International in terms of corruption. We have not done much in that area. I mean, so the laws must be in place, but not only the laws must be in place, we must also make sure that we come up with the, I mean, it's not only anti-corruption bill, as many people will say, it's still lying in Parliament, but then also, there are laws in place right now. The Constitution is there. People, when they commit crime, they are liable in line with the Constitution. So we can punish those people when such happen. So for me, the starting point of this whole discourse is, we must have a sense of direction. This has been lacking in Africa. I mean, if you read Dambisa Moyo's book, Dead Aid, it shows you how aid has not been working for this country, for this continent. And the Gambia is not an exception to this. We've been relying on aid over and over. We increase salaries. Then the masses continue to suffer. So the idea of economic independence, political independence that we talk about in fact, I question the political independence that we have as a continent. I mean, these aids that come, these grants that come, sometimes come with conditions. And these conditions can be political. So the issue of political independence itself is...
How do you think that can also help when it comes to just ensuring this economic independence that we are talking about? Or you call it...
Not what the peer economics says, but because there's a political desire embedded in the economics, so the direction changes. Okay. So salary increment, people love it. It gives you political score, but like he says, the source of financing, deficit financing. Government, we have over, as of 2021 third quarter budget bulletin, we have over 82 billion in debt, which is over 82% of our total GDP. So that is crucial. Okay, let's go back to the youth empowerment. Yeah. There's this project called Youth Empowerment Project, where youths are trained skills. Yeah. But oftentimes I ask myself, if you train people's skills and they cannot commercialize those skills, what's the point? Yeah. See, the role of government in a modern economy is not to provide everything. It's impossible. It's costly. It's time-consuming, and it's just nearly impossible. Government does not know everything. That's what we say in economics. Government is not omnipotent. They don't know everything. So what happens is you create the environment. So if you train youths to have skills, okay, give them access to land. Give them access to mechanized materials. Okay, say the importation of this product, we are going to increase the tax because we want people to start importing capital goods. You know, there's different structure in import. You can import clothes, you can import food. That is final goods for consumption. But instead, you can also import capital goods, which are technology and machines that you can use to produce other goods. So if you look at the merchandise, the importation structure of the Gambia, the chunk of it is consumption. So we need to restructure the commodity trade. We need to increase, we need to discourage, in other words, imports of final goods, encourage domestic production, and then encourage the importation of capital goods. Okay,
so you're saying, are you trying to say we can't take a fee? Because the take a fee that we are talking about has to also directly do with the independence or the self-reliance that we are talking about.
If you continue to import massively on commodity goods that the take a fee of producers are producing, they will not survive.
They won't.
They will not survive. If you have 10 of them rolling out, you will have barely 2 of them that will survive. Because they are competing internationally. And when a new firm, we call them infant industries, are starting, they have a huge fixed cost.
Okay.
The place that you rent, the machines that you need, the equipment, sunk cost is very expensive.
Right.
So if you start producing, you have the variable cost, that is the fuel, electricity, and other things. Now, if you are pricing your product, you have to factor those things.
Right.
But eventually, over the long term, the fixed cost that you incur start to spread out.
Right.
Per unit of the item that you produce. Then your price of the product start dropping. So, but if those people are competing with people coming outside, they will take a fee.
But then, I just want to know, take a fee, possible or not, it has directly to do with our own people working here to ensure the reliance or independence that we are talking about.
Why
in
not?
just few seconds.
Why not? Why not? Take a fee is possible.
Okay.
But just like you said, I would like to agree with him that, you see, I always tell people, you cannot empower people. You create the environment for them to empower themselves. This is what is needed. And he talked about capital, he talked about land. That is what exactly they need. I mean, and I think young people in this country, this is exactly what the government can do.
Can do for them. Due to time constraints, we have to let you go. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you so much, and wishing you a happy 57th Independence Anniversary. We'll go for a break, and we'll be right back.
nga noro tarale birin dunia be datila ada ben na baluwo konole nsulata noro pour kanna do kuwolke kanna bungol lo kanna fengol fi hanim fanan kanna kanunyol je noro ka kuwol sone yandi woto kiwsel ya kiw pawa sanya kutole nati isela kas pawa sotono katabake anin yin kiwsel la yin code kuto ila dunia malandi anin yin star 363 has katabake hanna tara ibela suwokono ila ofisoko anin dulalu star 363 has kumandi sign kiw power kiela dunia malandi kiwsel sunyu boss ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522 222 353 2222.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q Power. I am QCell. I am Sunibus. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make,
welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and due to time constraints, I'll just throw it at you.
Guys, it's Kangman Sweezy, and it's a wonderful Thursday morning, man. Looking fresh.
Like a baby.
I'm always a baby, one to be real. My guest in the studio today is one of the finest reggae dancehall artists, Lixin Khan. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you very much, Sweezy. Greetings to you all, your lovely people. This is your man himself, Lixin Khan, the original Frontline Army. You see it right here, you know.
Frontline Army in the building, man, for real, man.
Telling you, brother.
It's a pleasure, man. Trust me.
Man.
I've been vibing to you since when I was young.
Blessings. I'm honored.
For real, man. You know? Since when you moved with Benjamin in the front and having to move strong and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, and we're still moving together, you know. For real. Yeah, man. Just in different parts, but we're still together.
Now let's talk about you, Lixin, as an artist. Tell us a bit about your music. You've come a long way, actually. You've been grinding with so many big artists before.
Yeah, as you know, music is never a jump on anything, you know what I mean? So that's why, I've been like grinding and, always seeking for the right knowledge, So I'm just me, the public, the children listening to, and everything, just trying to be me.
Yeah, now lately I've been trying to switch from a bit of dancehall and reggae thing now going to the Afro dancehall thing,
yeah, not really switching, you know what I mean? But it's like I'm kind of like evolving, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm telling you, when the world is moving, you have to move along. If you want to stuck into one thing, you're going to be left behind, Yeah,
currently, I know you're not based in the Gambia. You're based in Europe, but how is the...
No, I have to correct you on that. I'm a Gambian and I will forever be.
I know you're
I'm based in the Gambia. I just travel sometimes and come back.
No, all the time. Most of your holidays are spent in Europe. You just come time to time to find the airport. How is it like actually?
Okay, I wouldn't really call it a holiday, because it's like, I'm always using my opportunity, to represent myself and my country, in different parts of the world, Yeah, so I'm not, going out there like to, spend holidays and like a tourist and so on now. Yeah, man, I'm just grinding, Yeah, I'm telling you, never,
Now let's talk about it's making video, it's really nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, stars don't struggle to shine, It has a lot to do with, this rough musical journey that we're trotting in, It's never an easy road, though, as you know, So that's why I try to put it like through the music and then just give it to the people,
Bala, he said stars don't struggle to shine. You're shining, bro, to be honest.
He's shining?
We all shining, man.
Ahead of him.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, man. So let's watch this video and we'll be back. We talk about his album and about that's all going down. Let's watch it.
Mofindu kole atade Fematin nawa Anyoke lole si atade Mofindu dibitale Mofindu kole atade Fematin nawa Anyoke lole si atade
Yeah, sorry guys, I think we had a technical issue, a sound issue when it comes to the video. But we're obviously gonna fix it and make sure we play it for you guys. Now listen, let's talk about your album. The biggest album that you've had to launch.
Yeah, well, the album is like, called Lord I Thank You. And I'm trying to put like, my story, yeah, my lifetime so far, the journey, the hardship and, everything that I've been through. I still want to take it, to say, Lord, I thank you, give thanks for everything, Yeah, so that's the story I try to put like, in this album, Yeah, let's say 14 to 15. Yeah, something like that.
Because we all know Dixon is a big artist.
Yeah, I'm trying to have this artist from Senegal, called Ombre Zion. Yeah, he'll be my international artist to do a collab with, this album. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about like, Senegal and Gambia, that we are one family,
Yeah, so that's the only artist you have as an international artist from
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So how about the Gambian artists? Do you have any?
Yeah, of course, I have like, Lady Quincy, Fire, Benjamin, of course, my better half.
King Benjamin.
Yeah, man, Sophia, let's say, a few other artists. You know,
I could say that was it's a bit of biasness because I saw all the dancehall artists. You just naming your dancehall artists. Like
not only dancehall artists though. Yeah, you know, I have like a hip hop artist on it. My brother, Chronicle.
No, he didn't mention any names of any hip hop artists.
Yeah, you're right.
Just calling names of Sophia.
Yeah, let's say Chronicle.
Wow.
You know Chronicle?
I know Chronicle, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, man.
Nah, the show is strictly live band. Like you said it's gonna be a live band show, isn't it?
It's gonna be a live performance, but not live band.
No, but it's on the flyer, live band sort of.
Maybe you got it wrong in a way.
Again.
Okay.
Again. I am counting.
Okay. And
what's wrong with you, man?
I was told you're also gonna have two acts as well, two big acts. I don't know who are those acts actually that are coming as a surprise act or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna have one surprise act.
Okay.
Yeah, but I cannot disclose it. Then
no,
it
we should disclose it.
Nah, then it won't be a surprise.
No, let's talk about it. This is the morning show. This is where we should talk about things like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's too early to talk about surprises like that, you know.
Bro, let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, maybe some other time.
Okay, and what should the fans expect from you as an artist as well?
Yeah,
it's your show. The night is all about you. It's strictly about Lixin, about your music career, about what you've done and what you have to put up to the fans out there. So what should I expect from you as an artist?
Yeah, to give them a little hint about it is like, you know, they should expect music and more music, you know. Yeah, not only typical reggae music, you know, but like I said, you know, trying to take it to the next level. So let them expect vibe.
I've been waiting to ask this question. Is the album strictly reggae?
No.
Or you have other taste in it as
well? So, you know, it's a big surprise anyway.
Okay, let's watch this video by Lexington. When we're back, we'll continue the interview.
Thank you.
So I'm afraid due to time constraints, we might have to go. Why man kuma degat Q City ne mamas?
No, why man
Q City kuma for degat ne mamas? Mariama Sisi.
No, listen, it's not gonna be easy. I wanted to ask why the name Lixin Khan?
Yeah, Lixin Khan is a childhood name. Yeah, that was given to me.
I know Khan is surname.
Yeah.
Khan is my last name, you know, Sedi Khan.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just cut it short. Yeah, I'm going to pull up here.
How about police?
We're not speaking.
Anyway, thank you. Yes.
Before we go, man, Eliza, my outfit, bro, trust it. Man, before we go.
Bro, you're shining, you know.
No, seriously, I've been shining way back. Right? If you want something like this, link my plug on Instagram, Luxury Drip. He's going to get you sorted out. You can link him on +225 070 7265 434. Link him is going to get you something like this, man. And don't forget, check out his Instagram page as well. The Instagram username is luxury_drip89. Link him up, he's going to get you something like this.
Well, anyway, just to remind them, Jemma Chosan is here. 26 February, Serekunda West Park, Night of Culture.
Happy 57th Independent Anniversary. See you on Monday. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow Tuesday.
Kake kusa na wala, hake kuti miyalo ko